my smartphone died. For the last couple of years, I've been using a Nexus 6P, which is the last model in the Nexus line before Google killed it and rebranded it to the Pixel. The phone itself, well, frankly, it sucks. So I've been expecting this to come for a while now. I sort of thought that the phone would just kind of continuously get worse until all at once it quit working, or it annoyed me in a submission and I had to go buy a new phone anyway. What actually happened was it took a bad update a couple of weeks ago, and absolutely nothing I have tried has been able to bring it back to life.
He was worse than dead. His brain is gone.
Okay, fine. So it's time to look for a new smartphone, but I mean, there's a ton of choices out there. Which one do you pick up? Am I going to go with a premium tier one like the Samsung Galaxy S9 or the iPhone X, or something cheap like whatever this thing is? But here's the thing. I sort of hate smartphones. I mean, yes, they embody modern convenience, but there's a definite cost to that. First of all, you're spending basically $1,000 on a premium tier device that you might get 3 or 4 years out of. The Nexus 6P is only 3 years old, and Google has already discontinued support for it in the next version of Android. And yeah, you'll get security updates on that device for a little while, but eventually those will stop too. And that does not mean that your device is hacker-proof either.
Hackerman. He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
Google just no longer cares. And I understand that Google's trying to make a sane business decision here, but it puts consumers in the position where now they have to decide whether or not they're going to fork out more money for a brand new device or stick with an inherently insecure device in an age when vulnerabilities are mainstream topics.
Meltdown and Spectre.
And whether you're worried about technological addiction or security concerns, like the fact that all of our voice and search history is permanently stored on a cloud, to me that presents a very interesting question, which is the convenience of a smartphone really worth the cost? So to find out, I bought this. This is the LG B470 flip phone. I know this phone looks like it's 15 years old, but it's actually brand new. It was originally released in 2016. It's actually newer than the Nexus 6P. But unlike smartphones, there has been no improvement made on flip phones. The UI is exactly how you remember it. Terrible.
What a piece of junk.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you just go with me on this one, right? For science, okay? Okay, it's all set up now, so I guess I'll take it for a spin. Now, normally I would check the weather and traffic first thing in the morning while I'm making coffee before I head into the office. See, some of the roads that I take will be an absolute parking lot if there's rain or an accident, or in this case,
powerful nor'easter.
Nor'easter, late winter nor'easter.
Snow. Now, I knew that the traffic was going to be at least a little bit slow, so I planned to listen to the radio to get the weather and traffic updates. Now, these updates, because it's radio, are far from real time, so I got my update just a little bit too late, after I had already turned onto the highway that I now found out was closed in both directions, and I didn't have any music, and I couldn't even navigate around the accident to find a faster way to work. Fantastic. Navigation would also come back to bite me yet again. These are my actual handwritten notes to be able to get to the Newport Aquarium, a place I have never been before. I would have printed them out if I had any ink left in my printer. See, normally I would just look it up on my smartphone. Now, are you noticing a pattern here, right? See, notice how this one little minor change going from a smartphone to a flip phone has been like wading into this ocean of unintended consequences. Now, I knew going into this that there was going to be challenges. Some things that were completely unsurprising, like not having access to streaming music. Though, to be fair, that's a lot more challenging than what I thought it would be. But there's other things that I didn't anticipate. I didn't see it coming. For example, two-factor authentication. Now, I'm a big fan of two-factor to secure some of my accounts. If you're not using two-factor, you really, really should be. In short, when you log into a two-factor enabled account, you're asked to enter in a PIN that's generated by an application that runs on your smartphone. Applications which don't run on this. So that means I've been kicked out of and can no longer log into any of my accounts until I disable two-factor on all those accounts, which makes my accounts much more vulnerable, which is definitely not ideal. And there's a bunch of other examples too, like messaging, which is kind of a fractured pain in the butt on Android in the first place, is downright impossible on this thing. Now, the way that we used to text has largely been replaced by internet-based messaging, which this phone just doesn't get. Now, that doesn't stop the phone itself from blowing up with all the notifications for messages and pictures that I just can't receive. So eventually I just turned off notifications. And suddenly I was spending a lot less time on my phone. I started spending a lot less time on my phone, like a lot less. And then I started noticing how often I would reach for my phone out of either boredom or because I thought that I got a notification. And then I started noticing how often everyone else does it too. It was really, really eye-opening. I mean, on one hand, I was much more mindful of all my boredom tendencies, but on the other hand, I was also starting to feel really, really isolated. It was pretty common now for me to just be straight up cut out of text conversations, and in the middle of planning for this big group vacation I was taking, things were being decided for me because I just wasn't getting the messages. It started to make the channel suffer too. I fell way behind on responding to comments, which is something that we try very, very hard not to do, and it put a lot more work on Scott too, because he was the one now that had to update all the notes and the production schedules because I just couldn't. So in the end, I lasted about a week before I went to a Pixel 2 XL. Now it's a far cry from the 1 month that I was originally planning on doing, and to be fair, if I had a chance to kind of gracefully transition all my two-factor stuff from my old phone to some other platform, I might have been able to make it through the month. But this entire experiment left me wanting some type of a device that fits in between a traditional smartphone and a flip phone, like a moderately intelligent phone. And I'm genuinely interested in revisiting this experiment if I ever find a phone like that. Or maybe I just need to exercise a little bit of discipline about what I put on my phone and how I use it. Thank you all so much for stopping by to check out the video. I really, really do appreciate it. This is pretty experimental content for us. We don't traditionally do vlog type of stuff, but we had a bunch of ideas that were much more kind of story oriented that we wanted to experiment with. So if you want to see more content like this, please do me a huge favor. Give us a thumbs up, put some comments down below. Give us a subscribe if you haven't already done so. We're on a mission to hit 10,000 subscribers this year. You can help us reach that goal. Don't forget about our live show every Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Scott and I get together and talk about interesting stories that happen throughout the week in technology, and we usually argue about something. So it's a good time. Give us a watch. That's it for this week. We'll see you all next time.